everyone, and welcome to our free monthly webinar. So excited to have you. I'm Courtney Kearney, founder and owner of C. Kearney Consulting. So excited to have you join us to review the CRM or Die book and its content. If you are new to these webinars, we are taking a chapter a month. If you haven't read the book, totally okay. I did want to let you know that we have a ton of free resources and events like this one on our website. So go out and check out ckearneyconsulting.com. Erica will join or will drop the link into the chat window so that you can click on that and register for upcoming events, including this Thursday's CRM chat, where it's a more conversational take on the content that we are sharing today. If you haven't checked out crmordie.com, please do so. Visit the website for a ton of sneak peeks, book resources. You can also take a quick CRM self-assessment quiz to see where you're at, and then you can do that once a quarter so you can track your progress and show improvement. Once you purchase the book, there are additional downloads, so be sure to check those out if you haven't done so already. If you are only tuning in for the first 2 minutes of this webinar or first 5 minutes of the webinar, what have you, the most important takeaway is that CRM is not about a piece of technology, but rather about process and people. To go into depth on this strategy or this philosophy, we have broken up unlocking your CRM potential into 4 parts: foundation, preparation, utilization, and thriving. Our previous webinars this year have covered the first 2.5 parts. So the foundation we laid was focusing on the process and people, understanding your firm's why, the importance of well-documented CRM processes, the data-driven decision-making, why focusing on data as the future, understanding that that is the key is important. Looking at, I'm getting an error from my Zoom. I'm going to share my screen one more time just to make sure that, okay. Looking at the benefits of client relationship management. Then we went into preparation, understanding your business processes, why documentation is key. We laid out a 5-step process to documenting your processes, how preparation is key, evaluate and select if you don't already have an integrated CRM system. Then we moved into part 3, utilization. We're going to finish out that part today. So the first part, implementing your vision, beginning with that end in mind. What is it that you want to see at the end? What are those reports? What are those dashboards? How do you want to be able to slice and dice your data? Determines the fields that you need to turn on and enable. Seeking out all the data, finding all the servers and the files and the intranets, all of the information. Where is it? Break down those silos. Accounting has this information. Marketing has this information. Get it all out into the open, into one place so that you can get a hold of it. Executing your vision was last month. So looking at creating your data utopia, change that really impacts the trajectory of your business. And today we're going to be talking about protecting your business intelligence, data as an asset, looking at 2 main areas: data stewardship and hygiene habits. So like I said, we've unlocked those 2.5 parts of your CRM success. We're going to close out the utilization today, and we're going to talk about protecting your business intelligence. So we open the chapter with a quote from Colin Powell that really demonstrates that achieving excellence in the big things is developing the habits in the little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude. We really loved this quote because really it's about understanding that you have to create those little habits. So one of the examples that Colin Powell gives is that his military service started in college and carried him through 35-year career, ending in a 4-star general. He developed an appreciation for excellence in the small task, like daily making his bed, in military precision. I really wonder if, like, as he's older, if it stayed military precision, but regardless, his view, and we completely agree, is that focusing on those daily habits or those little habits like making your bed led to greater success, led to, if we focus on our data habits, our data hygiene, it will build data stewards in our firm and support a data-driven culture. This leads us to the ultimate goal of data stewardship is to protect our business asset of data. While that might seem complicated and like an overwhelming goal, accomplishing this starts with the small things like practicing those regular habits. Think about how visiting the dentist regularly can keep your teeth and gums healthy, or looking at setting up reminders on your phone to drink enough water. Creating those data policies and data standards and expectations can reinforce those regular accountability checks so that we can create data healthy habits. Dun & Bradstreet defines data stewardship as the responsibility of ensuring that data policies and standards turn into practice. So that's what we're focusing on today. We covered this a little bit in chapter 1, but really making sure that we understand that the company leaders must, excuse me, so sorry. Alexa, stop. That we must understand that company leaders mandate the creation of data policies and standards and require that we put those in place. So starting with that top down. Now you might be saying, hey, Courtney, that's all well and good, but I don't have the buy-in of the senior leaders or leadership. So really having the managers or whoever is in that authority position that can hold the employees accountable to become and be data stewards. As the leader, setting that tone is important. Now, they might not be the ones that are doing the practices, but they're setting those standards and making sure that they're implemented. And really, we think that data stewardship is successful when it is cultivated from the top down. So making sure that your leadership or those in that manager authoritative roles have a copy of this book, have the understanding of what data stewardship is important. So we're going to dive into 2 main areas, data policy and creating data stewards. So really, data policy comes in when you're setting data standards and data guidelines. So things like when you're creating an opportunity, this is the data that we need and why. When you're creating a contact record, this is the information we need and why. We know that you are keeping it in Outlook, but we also need you to push that into the CRM. We need you to put it in through your app on your phone. Whatever those policies are, that everybody knows that from day one. So getting it into the new hire orientation, that new onboarding process that everybody goes through, so that everybody understands when you get new contacts that are important to marketing or the sales cycle, that this is where they go. When you get emails, this is where they go, so that everybody can receive our emails, our communications, know what's going on with our company. Setting clear and defined expectations. So things like I just gave the example of the contacts and what you need to do with them. Setting the expectation of, if your role is forward facing and you interact with our contacts and clients, this is what we expect of you. This is how often we expect you to do that. We expect you to review all of your contact information in the CRM once a quarter. If this is tied to annual reviews, all of those are the policies that you should create around your data so that you can protect it and create that data stewardship. We're going to go into the data policy elements on the next slide. But really, if you do this, you're helping to create those data stewards. The other piece of creating data stewards is establishing data roles. Now, I went into great detail on the 6 data roles back in February. So check out that recap. We've got the webinar recording and the slides up on the website. But we're going to talk about briefly the 6 data roles here in a couple slides. But I did want to let you know that if you want more in depth on that, definitely go check out that webinar. Your ultimate goal is, you have created data stewards when you have empowered every employee at every level to make data-driven decisions. So for example, if I'm the marketer and I'm putting a proposal together, I am empowered to go look at our data to see what project should I include in this pursuit. I've got the data of all the projects that we've submitted. I'm going to do some reporting and see what are the similar projects? What are projects that we've done in this market, in this region, at this dollar amount, maybe with the specific key points that we're going after. Maybe the client is really worried about doing a project on an active campus where either patients or students or employees are on an active job site while you're doing the work or while you're building an addition or a renovation. Then you can be empowered to go look at that data and bring to the table suggestions. So you can say, hey, yes, we're going after a hospital, but I think this higher education project is a really good fit because it directly addresses XYZ of the client's concerns. That is empowering everyone to use the data. For example, we had a client whose receptionist always got phone calls like, hey, I see y'all sign at Broadway and 6th, and I'm just curious what project is going in there. Before the CRM, the receptionist would have to say, I have no idea. Let me transfer you. Let me figure out how I can figure that out. Now she pulls up the CRM and the receptionist looks at those 2 cross streets and says, oh, it's a HEB going in. Great. So now the receptionist is even empowered to use the data that is at their fingertips. These are just a couple examples. I could go on and on about how to empower or what that looks like, but everything is different at your firm. Figuring out what that empowerment looks like at your firm is how you create those data stewards. Now, looking at your data policy elements, it comes down to 5 areas. Creating that mission, the firm's why statement. We spent a really long time talking about this in the very first January webinar, so go check that out. But why is it needed now? Looking at your processes, the well-documented map outline of this is the flow of data. This is why we want you to collect it. This is when you need to collect it. This is when you need to update it. Change management. With any new process that comes, you've got to modify people's behavior and their habits. They must be clear on what you're asking them to do and what you're expecting them to do in a specific timeline, but you also have to create that urgency so that you can say, I need you to update your contacts by every Friday. I need you to you review them every quarter, every month, whatever that cadence is, setting those expectations, but then holding them accountable. Hey, we're Q1. Did everybody review your contacts? Email me back. Looking at definitions, those key terms. You never want to be using the word, hey, how many leads do we have, when someone else is thinking that a lead is something that's unqualified, so they give you a lower number. Looking at what is the definition between your leads and your prospects. Another example for a general contractor that specializes in higher education dorms, are universities considered part of that, or is it just colleges? Is it just how you want to report those things? If it's a dorm, is it considered a residence as well? All of those nuances of definitions is key, so that you know that when you're reporting, you're pulling all of the right things. And then identifiers. If you do the work upfront to determine what you want to see at the end, so my reporting, my dashboards, my widgets, how I want to see things pulled by market, well, then you need to have those identifier mark of these are all of the projects that are in this market. Looking at those identifiers are key so that you can have the reports that you want. That all goes into those data policies. What is considered when you're looking at things like construction type? When do you select renovation? When do you select new build? All of those little nuances, you never want anybody to assume. You want to spell those out. And then the 6 data roles. So everybody is an editor. Everybody should be entering information. Everybody should be keeping up with it. You want to make sure that someone is entering it, but then auditing it as well. So these roles, not all roles can be filled by one person. Now, one person can fill multiple roles. So I can be an editor and an auditor. I can be an editor and a data leader, but I cannot be all 6 roles or everything will fall apart. Data stewardship is created when these 6 roles are spread out amongst different people. So looking at your auditors, they are looking at the condition of data, what's missing, what has not been tagged correctly, are all the dollar amounts reasonable, or has someone just put $1 to get past the requirement? The analyst is pulling that into something like Excel or Power BI to do analytics on it, to look at the trends. We've got a really good pipeline right now and we have enough leads, or we do not have enough leads. We are trending down. We look at our projects in 2-year life cycles, and in 2 years, we are going to have a drought and we do not have enough work. We need to uptick and maybe look at a different market. Or are we looking at the analytics by office and maybe one office needs extra resources, or should we move into a new office, a new geographic location? That's the role of the analyst. And then the consumers typically are the firm leaders, the C-suite, the managers. They're consuming the information that the analysts have put together. They're looking at those charts. They're looking at the statistics and the reports that come out that show, okay, this is trending in this direction and we need to make XYZ decision. They're consuming the information and then making data-driven decisions based off of it. Now, the data leaders are the people who are creating the policies, watching the processes, documenting them, and then making tweaks, looking at the automations, the workflows. Is everything triggering and firing the way that it should? The data leaders are there that can be a part of all departments. You can have a data leader from accounting. You can have a data leader from marketing, from operations, that allows that group to look at how data is flowing and is something broken? Is information not getting from one department to another? And then finally, that data officer is that C-suite level who is a representative to make sure that data stewardship is a culture at your firm, making sure that data is treated as an asset. Any of the technologies or tools that need to be in place are there. That data officer role could be a CIO. It could be a CRM leader or CRM manager. Whoever that data officer is, it needs to be represented in your firm leadership. Now that's the data stewardship side. Now we're going to focus on healthy data habits and how to create those. So really looking at things that are tangible, like keeping your CRM open at all times, distrust the information and then verify it, creating maintenance reports, looking for missing data, and then eliminating orphans in your CRM system. So keeping the CRM open at all times is things like having it open on a second screen so that when you get new information about a project and you're on a proposal, you get an email from the project manager that corrects a dollar amount or square footage on a project. You immediately flip over to your other monitor and you update that project in the CRM system or the spreadsheet that you have or the master document. But as soon as you get a piece of information, you update it. If you try to wait until the closing out of proposals or the closing out of something, it never gets done and you don't remember, did we just make up this number and say that it was good for this pursuit? Is this a real number? Is this a fudge number because we couldn't get approval? But if you do it right in the moment, you know what that is and you can trust it. Now, distrusting and verifying. I always want to have a backup so that if something looks weird to me when I log into my CRM and I see my dashboard and I go, man, I really thought that our pipeline was bigger than this. I really thought we had more leads. I always recommend having a report to back up every dashboard, graph, or visualization that is on your dashboard. So, for example, if my pipeline is made up of all open opportunities, I have a report that shows me all open opportunities. And that way I can go to my report and say, oh, something must have changed in my filters. This doesn't look the same to this, but I have a hard copy so that I can, if I feel like something is weird, I can verify. So that's where that distrust and verify comes in. Those maintenance reports, looking for information on a regular basis. So, for example, if you have your dashboard that is showing you this dollar amount is in our shortlist, and we know that we win 50% of our shortlist, you need to make sure that every one of those pursuits that are in that shortlist stage has a dollar amount. So running a report, a maintenance report every Friday, every other Friday, that makes sure that your dollar amounts in those pursuits that are further along are accurate. You don't want to be making decisions and come to find out 3 of the 13 are sitting at $1. Then it's not as bad as you thought. Or looking at the percentages, is your probability what it should be? Making sure that you're running those regular reports. Things like if you're pulling reports for, say, the AIA document, your in progress versus your complete. Do you have a maintenance report to monitor the project status? Are you putting things on the in progress report that closed or finished 2 years ago? Are you maintaining that? So doing that at a regular cadence. I used to do it every Friday, finish it out. That way I could handle it onesie twosies instead of trying to do it when I needed it for the annual meeting or a proposal, and I'm doing hundreds of record updates in a matter of hours. I'd rather do it on a regular cadence. Looking for missing information, looking for, does every contact have an email address? If not, they're not going to be getting our emails. Does every contact have a mailing address if I know we're going to do a handwritten Christmas card? Eliminating orphans. Every contact in your system should be owned by an internal employee so that you can do things like, hey, I know Erica is going to retire. I'm going to run a report for all of Erica's contacts. And then we can either give them to her replacement, we can break them up and give them to the rest of our team. And then those people should contact those people and say, hey, Erica's retiring. I'm going to be your new point of contact. Worst case scenario is that all of Erica's contacts go right out the door with her and we never hear from them again and they never hear from us again. You don't want that to happen. So every contact in your CRM or your spreadsheet should have an internal employee attached to them. Now, all that I just said hinges on a philosophy that hygiene is a practice, not a one and done project. So if we think about a hypothetical situation where a construction company has all of their information in their CRM, and their why statement is that they have to have a real-time, up-to-date answer for what their bonding capacity is that goes to their insurance company. This determines what pursuits they can chase, what projects, how much bonding capacity is being taken up by current projects. Their data flow process is down to a T. It involves their marketing, their BD, their accounting, even their CEO. They all log in and they populate not only the opportunities, but a go, no-go score, and they update projects regularly. Now, for this process to work, everyone has to be on board and do their part to keep the data flowing. They all know their expectations and they all play a role to be good data stewards. The entire process is audited by their CRM manager. The manager runs weekly reports to ensure all the necessary fields are populated, that those records that should have a go, no go score, that it's calculating properly. If a piece of data is missing, this person reaches out to the BD lead and requests that information to be entered. She does not enter it for them. They get in the system and enter it. She also monitors the market leaders to ensure that they are responding in a timely fashion to approve or deny the pursuit request, depending on the go, no go score. If there is a frequent offender not meeting the data expectations or standards, additional training is provided so that there is that accountability. When everyone contributes and understands their role in the data process, the company's asset of data remains protected and healthy. This is just one example. But one thing I always hear is, Court, what is the worst thing that can happen? What is the worst way to fail? And it can be summed up into one sentence, two sentences that really exemplifies an attitude or philosophy. And it is, I don't use the CRM. I have my own Excel spreadsheet. Letting this happen really allows people to not feel like they're taking ownership of being a data steward, making it feel like, well, this is me and that is y'all. But really, you've got to form that we're all in this together. We're paying it forward. We're protecting the firm. The whole saying of what if someone gets hit by a bus, but really that it doesn't matter. We should all be supporting the protecting of our business intelligence. So putting that into practice and making sure that we all understand that data integrity is built by all of us. It is built off of user adoption. The quickest way to fail is to not do it, to distrust, and to have discontentment. And really, all of those things lead to disaster. So today's takeaways: protect your firm's business intelligence with data stewardship and those healthy data habits, establishing the data policies, the data roles, practice data hygiene to build data integrity. It's not a one and done. Remember, the cleaner the data, the more accurate the analytics, the better the strategies and the stronger the business decisions. Ultimately, we want to create data excellence, and we believe that data excellence is achieved through an attitude of data stewardship, fostering an environment in which all employees see themselves as data stewards, beginning at the top and ends with each person understanding their role in maintaining the process. It requires equal participation from all the data roles, and it requires a daily commitment from each data steward to keep the CRM platform and the data up to date, to utilize it often, and to keep it clean regularly. These habits are often seen as simple, but easy to ignore. I want to remind you that, as Colin Powell said, if you're going to achieve excellence in the big things, you must develop the habit in the little matters. Excellence is not an exception, it is a prevailing attitude. So creating those data policies, standards, expectations, they are reinforced through regular accountability and to help solidify your healthy habits. This is your year, this is your moment, so take control of your CRM. If you want to learn more about the CRM processes that we talked about today, we're doing a paid webinar next week on Tuesday the 20th, 12:30 to 2:30 Central, that deep dives into the webinars that we do that are 30 minutes every month. This is a 2-hour full in-depth looking at all of the book's content with hands-on workshops. Again, I welcome you to attend the CRM chat on Thursday. Thank you so much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you.